This
Malesh,
conference will
Vashu,
now be
and
recorded.
Ashish. So Ashish, you didn't tell me how many years of experience you have in total?
Yeah, I have 7 years of experience.
7 years of experience. You are working in EAM, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
కానీ వేరే
All
కాల్
right.
చేస్తా కదా.
Sure. Thanks, guys. My name is Samir. I have total 14, 15 years of experience. Okay, I started my career as a CRM guy, SAP CRM, and then gradually I moved into S4 HANA, then S4 HANA service. You all knows right now CS is going away, so CM is going to sorry, the CS is going to be replaced earlier with customer management, and now it is service, which is going to be an integral part of S4 HANA, and CS will not be there anymore. So I'm working on CS as well, and predominantly I'm also an FSM guy. So I have worked on 4 5 implementations of FSM. I am certified also in FSM, and I started FSM working back in 2020. During COVID period, I have integrated FSM with C4C. I have integrated FSM with Business One as well as S4 HANA. So this is all about my experience. um, Now if I want to talk about the FSM system, let me share my screen. Before that, if you guys have any question, please go ahead.
So is now CS is going. So like means which module they will call it as instead of CS?
Service.
Service management, like that.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
they don't call it service management. Earlier they were calling it customer management, which was an add-on on
Right.
S4 HANA. So that was not an integrated part. That was an
Mm-hmm.
add-on, but now they have integrated it like other modules like CS, PM.
Mm-hmm.
They have put in as a part of S4 HANA bucket. So now it's a part of
Mm-hmm.
S4 HANA. We call it S4 HANA service.
Service. Okay.
Yes. All right. I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know once you are able to see my screen. To entire screen. All right. Just let me know once you guys are able to see my screen.
Yes, Samir, we can see.
All right. Okay, so we are going to talk about the field service management in details. Okay, so here we are talking about what all modules are there. But before starting, I'd just like to give you a brief about the history of field service management, where it came from. So since we all are from SAP background, so we understand that SAP has started acquiring other products in order to cater the market capital. Okay, so they were lagging behind in terms of field service management tool, and they already have EAM, but it is an on-premise system and it has certain limitation, and also it is not on cloud. So that was one of the reasons they have brought in this SAP field service management. All right, earlier they were calling it uh, Core System. Actually it's a company. Okay, it's a Swiss based company called Core Systems. Okay, they have acquired this company back in 2019, and the earlier they were calling it SAP Core System, and now they have renamed it to SAP Field Service Management. It's a SaaS based system. So we all know what SaaS is, software as an application. It's a SaaS based system wherein we can use the system in order to cater the field service executive or the technicians who is going on site for the services. It could be any kind of services, whether they're going to fix a machine, they're going to fix a lift, escalator, XYZ, any tool. If they have to go to the client location, fix the equipment, and then they would definitely need a system in place which will help them in order to track which executive, which technician is going where and how they're performing, and in order to capture their productivity. They would have easily managed with there are many other tools in the market as well. Okay, but this is another one tool which SAP has acquired. And if you want to see some example, like in India, you will see there are many companies are there who are sending out their executives for the for the fixing of the thing, installation and everything, and they have their own in-house system they have built in. For example, if you see, like if we'll take an example of say geo services, right? So when you get if you want to have a subscription of geo fiber or air fiber, whatever geo internet services, you will get in connect with the geo team, and geo team will create a account for you, and once you make the payment, they will associate technician, and the technician will visit to your place. They'll see where they can install the things, and they'll do the installation, and whatever equipments or parts they're going to use, they'll put it in inside the service order, and finally they'll complete the service order. There are many other examples as well. I don't know if you heard about another company called Urban Clap. Now they have renamed it to Urban Company. So that is a kind of in-house. Sorry, they provide on-site services. Many services they have. It's a kind of application where you go and you book your service. Maybe if you want to fix your air condition, your refrigerator, if you want to have a spa service at home, if you want to have haircut at home, so you just order it on their app, and they will assign a ticket. They'll create a ticket, they'll assign a technician against the ticket, and the technician will come and provide the services, and then you make the payment. Okay, so this is a similar kind of tool which SAP uses. It has a seamless integration with all the other ERP systems. If you want to integrate it with S4HANA, you can do it. If you want to integrate it with C4C, you can do it. If you want to integrate it with Business One, that also you can do it. Any question before I go ahead? Am I good? Shall I go slow? Am I too fast? Am I slow? Just let me know. Give me a
Good,
feedback so
good.
that I can change.
Good, good. We can, yeah, you can
Yeah,
continue.
it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So now there could be many scenarios. Based on this scenario, we decide how we are going to integrate our FSM system to ERP system. If you want to go, integrate with ERP, if they have C4C also in their landscape, how will we integrate with the C4C? Or if you want to integrate with plant and maintenance, that also we do. Of course, if it is going to uh, um, S4HANA, then we are going to integrate it with S4HANA service or customer service or plant maintenance, wherever as and when needed based on the customer's requirement, we do the integration. Okay, so that is overall about the FSM system. It's a AI based tool. Basically, SAP is extensively using Google API in the FSM license. Okay, we don't need to have a separate license from Google, or we don't need to purchase Google API in order to integrate it with FSM. It's a SaaS based system. It comes along with the SAP Google license. It's an integral part of it. You don't need to have an additional license for Google in order to use the APIs. All right. Now, why they would need field management, field service management? That's a very detailed answers are there. There are many roadblocks, many pain points that the customers are having. Because of that, they are using it. If I give you some examples, like what used to happen, that the other systems, if they're going to use for the field services, that system may not be flexible enough in order to optimize the driving of the technician to the customer's location. Now what I'm trying to say here is, so suppose I am a technician. Okay, I generally, my job is, that the back end people, they assign a ticket to me, and I go and provide the service. Now which customer should I go first? Okay, I don't know. Okay, because I may not be very familiar with the location, I may not be very familiar about how many traffic signals are there, what is the traffic situation wherever I am going, how may I reach to that location, what is the best way so that I can cater all my ticket in a day. So suppose I've been assigned 7 tickets for today. Now which route should I take? How should I start so that I can complete all those 7 tickets in a day? Those all are the features which FSM provides. So it provides a guided services to the technician. They can take the help, and the system will automatically tell them where to go first and how to reach to the client's location. Okay, I would like to give you another example out of the context. If you see, like, Amazon and Flipkart, right? So you do the order, and then they deliver your product. Now the delivery guy, if you see it, he's coming with a big box, and it has a lot of product with him, and he don't know who will be his next customer. So the system is helping him. Okay, now he has to go here, and now who is the next customer? So system is taking care of the deliveries of the product based on the Google Map, some in-house developed API, some in-house developed system like that. Okay, similarly here FSM helps the technician to reach out to the customer and to provide a seamless services to the customer. All right, so that is one of the usage. The other usage is the mobile app. They have the mobile app, the technician, they can log in and they can see what all tickets are assigned, where all he has to go. He will leverage the Google map in order to reach to the customer's location. He also have the flexibility to work offline even if they do not have the internet services. Like sometimes they have to go deep underground places to fix the things where there is no internet. So that also helps the FSM system also help the technician in order to use them without internet. So these are some of the features for which people are opting for FSM. Any question?
So for mobile app, FSM is having a separate app, or like in SAP Service and Asset Manager, there is a one persona for field service technician. That
Hmm.
only they
Hmm.
are going to use.
No, it has its own app. If you go
Own app.
to Apple Play Store or Android app, you'll
Mm-hmm.
find SAP Field Service Management. You'll get to see that application.
Okay.
All right. So what are we going to learn um, in the
Samir,
course?
Samir,
So
one question.
uh,
One question. So, do we have any integration between FSM to SAM, SAM, or we need to integrate through S4HANA?
you need to go through S4HANA. Okay.
Okay,
So
fine.
it now you'll have to get into the details and understand slowly and gradually get to see what all standard APIs are available and how we can leverage those APIs for integration. Okay, if there are a standard, because I personally have not, I mean, I do not have the experience on directly applying it on EAM. Okay, but we'll see if the APIs are available, we can consume that. Okay, because I know what all are the limitations of S4, and I know what all scenarios we are going to use C4C. We are going to leverage the C4C because the standard APIs are available. Then there is another option, another company there is, that is called Proaxia. Okay, I don't know if you have heard about it. It's a company. Okay, they also provide some sort of APIs to connect with S4HANA directly. So we'll talk about that in detail when we are going to learn about the integration of FSM with S4HANA and other tools. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So if we talk about the training content, we are going to learn about the introduction of field service management, and then we'll also learn about the master data management. So in the master data, we are going to learn how we can leverage the master data of the backend system, whether it's S4HANA or C4C, in our FSM system. Okay, so in FSM also we have certain master data like organization, we have equipments, we have employees, items, equipments, customers, contact. These all are the master data that we are going to leverage in the FSM system. Now depends upon the scenarios, we will learn in which scenario what all master data we are going to create either in FSM or we will be bringing it from the ERP system. All right, there are some additional things are there like data loader, data exporter. So these are the provisions that FSM is providing. If you want to use some sort of initial load of the data from external source, like using the Excel and all, that also you can use to import the data and export the data to and fro in the FSM system. All right. A DTO is nothing but data transfer objects. It actually talks about what all objects are available for the data migration, whether to export or import in the system. All right. Now, if you go to the administration configuration, in the administration, we will learn all sort of configurations that we are going to do into the system as a consultant. Like for example, account and company settings. What is account? What is company settings? How we can create different companies in the system? What are the purposes of creating the companies? okay, and how we integrate different companies to different ERP system. So one thing, I mean, out of context, but it is important for you guys to know that we get only one license as a part, one system as a part of license. Like generally in ERP, in ECC, S4 HANA, what happens when we opt for one license, we get three systems, right? Dev, QA, and production. But unlike that, here you'll get only one system in one license. Okay, so now it totally depends upon the business process, what business process we have. And considering all those things, we will decide how many systems we need. And if not, then we are going to use the companies. We can create multiple companies inside one FSM system, and we can also integrate different companies to different systems. So this is all we are going to learn in the administration and configuration. Apart from that, we also have user permission, user group, user role. These are nothing but the business role similar to S4 HANA, where the basis guys create users, assign it to a business role, and based on the business role, we access the system according to the roles and permissions that has been provided to me. Workflow configuration is nothing but to create a workflow in the system based on certain event will trigger certain workflows. Like for example, if the data is coming from the ERP system, we want to trigger certain emails. So those sort of workflows we can create in the system. Then we have screen configuration, so we can configure the screen, FSM screen, based on the requirement of the customer, similar to how we configure the Fiori, right? So when we in S4 HANA, when we log on to Fiori, suppose we are in a work center, task list, service order, what do we call it in CS, like notifications, right? So when we click on that, you'll get to see one screen, right? So we can configure the screen, what screen we are going to show it to our end users. Then translations are there. We can do the translation. So of course the standards are already translated, but if we have created certain custom screen, custom labels, we can translate them. Okay. Then business rules are there, so we can, the business rules are most used and most complicated thing inside FSM. So we are actually assigning some tasks to FSM systems based on certain conditions. It's somewhere equivalent to workflow, but workflow is different, business rules are different. We'll get to see in details in the system, but this is one of the major portion of the FSM system, and it's most complicated thing. Then query API and all
Like
that we
B,
use for the, yeah,
it's like BP, BRF in S4.
business rule
Same
framework.
equal.
Yes, yes, you can say that.
Yeah.
Okay, like for example, I'm not sure if FSM is open. Yeah, one of my FSM system is open. So what I do is I'll go inside one company, and when we go inside a company, there is something called business rules. Inside the business rules, you see there are so many business rules are there. Okay, some are standard, some are customs. Okay, so mostly we use the standard one. Okay, whenever we will install the, sorry, we will get the license, we'll get some of the standard one along with the system, and we also have a provision to create it from scratch. Okay, so here in the business rule, we give a code, name, description, something called threshold that we'll talk about. Now this is the trigger, when exactly we want to trigger the workflow, and then what all are the actions. So it's a similar to workflow, wherein we are deciding what all events we want the system to trigger and when exactly we are going to trigger, and what all our conditions will be. So here we'll put all the conditions. Okay.
Here one question is
Mhm.
not related to BRF,
Mhm.
related to the landscape. You said one system will be given. So in this
Mhm.
one system, how do we maintain, like how can we manage the development and testing activities in a one system?
There the company comes into picture. Okay, when you go inside, so when you are inside account, if you go inside the company, you see that there are so many companies created. So these companies are independent to each other. It's similar to company code in ECC or
Okay.
S4 HANA. Okay, so and the integration works independently in between the companies. So we will do also, suppose we have say two systems, development quality or quality and production in ECC or S4 HANA. If you want to integrate, if my provision allow, I'll see if we'll create two different companies, and one company I'll integrate with the development system, other company I'll integrate it with the quality system. That provision is available.
Got it. Understood.
All right. And if not, then probably we'll have to have the additional license. No choice.
Okay. Got it. Clear.
All right. Let me go to the next screen. Yeah. So here it's talking about workforce management, planning and dispatching. This is one of the major activity that the dispatcher does. Okay, whenever the system creates a service call, either it is going to come from S4 HANA system, C4C system, or any third party system, or we are manually creating it in the FSM system. So there is a role called dispatcher. He actually assigns these tickets to the technician based on the dispatching board, similar to how you see it in AEM dispatching board. It looks like similar to that, wherein you have a provision to see the availability of your technician, who is available, who is working on which ticket, and to whom you can assign the ticket to. Okay, so this is all about planning and dispatching management. Now next is mobile field service management. Okay, so in the mobile application we also have a provision to configure the mobile according to the role of the technician. We can give different accesses to different field technician. Maybe there is a field technician, supervisor, team lead, and we want to give different access to them. That also we can configure. We can define their mobile service workflow, how the workflow will work for them. Like, so are we going to allow them to reject the ticket? In some organization they do, some organization they don't. Okay, for example, if you as a dispatcher has assigned a ticket to me, and Samir, do I want to give Samir the authority to reject the ticket for XYZ any reason? If you do not want to give that permission, we'll have to configure the workflow accordingly. So service workflow is different than the normal workflow. Here when I'm talking about mobile service workflow, meaning I'm giving a guided step to the technician. Then once the ticket is coming to the technician, how he's going to behave with that. He will first accept the ticket, he'll start the riding, he'll reach to the customer location, he'll start working, he'll finish the work, he'll generate the uh, smart form, he'll close the ticket. So this is kind of normal workflow we assign to a technician. But yes, based on the business different different business requirement, we can change this workflow. All right. And all those, this is about the reserve material. So of course these are all the van stocks that the technician carry themselves when they're going to finish the work on a ticket, so they can consume those materials or spare parts during their service, and that can be in turn integrated to the S4 HANA system with the where the stocks will be adjusted. Then they also have a provision to record their time and expenses. Okay, so how much time he's spending in the travel, how much time he's spending in the actual service. So that all will be recorded. And if we have the success factor or SAP HCM in place, if we want to integrate with the cross application timesheet cache cats, that also we can do, where all these efforts and travel time, if you want to record it in their attendance, that also we can do. Okay, then activity feedback, we can also generate some sort of feedback to the customer, like how he felt about the service. And then checkout is nothing but closing the ticket. Offline consideration, I've already spoken about. There are some features available which technician can do offline. All right. Next is smart forms and feedback. This is nothing but smart forms similar to S4 HANA. So in S4 HANA, we develop the smart forms and we associate it with some sort of transaction. Similarly, here also, we will see how we can design the smart form. Unlike S4 HANA, designing a smart form is way too easy in FSM. Anybody can do it. Even end user does it. So we do not need a specific, ABAP skill or many technical skill in order to develop the smart form, unlike S4HANA or ECC. It's very easy in S4HANA, FSM, anybody can do it. Okay, so we just teach them during the UAT so that they can always go ahead and create a smart form themselves, and they'll assign it with the transaction. Okay, so that whenever the technician is fulfilling the services, he is going to use those smart form for either taking the input from the customer, whether taking the feedback from the customer, whether creating the invoices. So whatever smart form you want to create, we can always create that. Analytics and reporting, so here is a catch here. Okay, so analytics and reporting does not have much here in FSM. Okay, we have some standard reports that I'm going to show you, some dashboards that I'll show you, but if you really have to develop a report, you need a Jasper soft system. That's another tool. Okay, I don't know if you guys know ABAP or no, because I'm a functional consultant, I don't know ABAP, and it's a different skill altogether. Even ABAP guys cannot do that. Okay, but it's more of a technical front. So if anybody understand technical, all those Java and all that, they can easily develop the report using Jasper soft. So it's a free source software that you have to install in your local system. You have to connect it with FSM. You need to develop the report in the Jasper, and you need to push it to the FSM, and then it will be available in the FSM system. Right, next is business rules. We have already spoken about the business rules. Now crowd service, this is again a very good feature. If some organization, they do not have full-time resource and they want to have integrated with some sort of third-party company to provide services on their behalf, they can use this crowd services. Okay, some example I can give you is like Ola and Uber services, right? So they do not have their own cabs and cab driver, right? So they have all are third party people. Okay, so similar to that, so suppose there is a company who is for example Daikin AC. Okay, so I'm a company where I have say 500 technician working on all over Delhi or all over Hyderabad, but we know that the demand gets changed, according to the weather, right? So maybe I required only 300 people in November and December because it's very cold. Okay, but in April, May, I need say 700, 800 people. So there is no point for the organization to hire people and pay them throughout the year. So in those scenario, they sometimes uh, you know uh, have a agreement with some third party companies, and their third party company technician, they go and provide services on behalf of Daikin. So FSM provides you a provision where we can directly integrate third party company with our organization. We will also give them the access, their company also the access. We will assign the ticket to the company. They will assign to their technician. Their technician will use the FSM application similar to how the full-time employee uses, and they will provide the services. Okay, so it's a kind of provision. This provision is available for the third party companies. If the company has such scenarios where they have third party or contract employees, they can put it into the FSM system and use their services. Then next is customer self-service. So customer self-service is nothing but it's a kind of QR code we generate from the system, or some sort of code we generate in the systems, and then we give a URL to our customers, so that instead of calling to the customer care representative if any equipment fails, they can use that application to track what all service requests they have created, to track what all equipments that are installed in their premises, where are they installed, what is happening with all the open tickets. They will have a kind of application which they will use. Like for example, there is a company, so I am selling Daikin AC, and you have an office wherein 50 ACs are installed. Okay, so now it will be difficult for you, right, to track what is happening with what all tickets. So if you have one or two ACs at your home, it's fine. You can call up the customer care. Daikin people will create a ticket. They'll assign a technician. They'll go and fix. It's easy. But when the number of equipments are higher, maybe 40, 50, it is difficult for the customer to manage them. So to managing all those big number of equipments, many service tickets, many statuses, we provide customer self-service portal. Using this portal, customer will log in and they'll get to see what all equipments are installed in his premises, how many service tickets are open, how many service tickets are closed, what are the statuses of each service ticket, where is the technician, is he coming to the premises to fix or not. So all those things they can see in that portal. Okay, integration we have already spoken about. What all data integration? Data point, we can integrate master data and ticket both. We also have a provision to send back the consumed equipments. We also have a provision to send back the efforts and the timing that has been spent on the road. We also have a provision to send the expenses to ERP as well. Like for example, when a technician is going to the customer's location, it's so far away. He is staying in the hotel in between, okay, for a night stay. He might be having some food on company expenses. So all those informations they will put inside the ticket, and it will come once the ticket is closer. It will come for the approval for the dispatcher in FSM, and finally it will go back to ECC or S4HANA. All right, so this is all about the FSM training that we are going to go through. Any questions? Anything else you want to know? Go ahead.
Yeah. Could you please tell me the organization structure in FSM, how it will be?
Organization structure is not as complicated as in ECC or S4HANA. See, in S4HANA, we have sales area, right? Sales organization, distribution channel, division. Okay, and then this play a very vital role when you are creating a transaction. You have to make sure that the customer is assigned to that sales area data. You have to make sure that the product is assigned to that sales area data, right? So this is all happens in S4, but in FSM it's very easy. Let me check if I can show it to you. And what is the use? It's very easy. I'll show you. Organization level. So here you just create a hierarchy. That's it. Okay, you give it a name, create it, and then inside that, and this you are going to use to give different access to your technician, right? Because so suppose you have created one organization for Hyderabad, one organization for Mumbai, okay, because you are providing services both in Mumbai and Hyderabad, and you want to give different accesses, okay, and you do not want your technician to access any data of Mumbai who lives in Hyderabad, right, and vice versa. So in those scenario you would definitely need an organization structure. Otherwise there is no other rule, no other usage.
Okay. Okay.
Any other
Coming to the
question?
master data,
Hmm.
coming to the master data, suppose you already mentioned material master can be pulled up from S/4HANA. The
Hmm.
same way, all kind of master data we need to pull from S/4HANA, or like any, like we can also have a provision to create inside of FSM. Those kind of same thing.
No, I'll show you master data here. See, these all are the master data. Business partner you'll bring from S4HANA. Contacts, it depends. Okay, service contract you can bring. Equipment, tools, item, people is employee, skill is skill, and the crew there is no provision to bring crew. You'll have to create crews here in FSM. So these all are the master data provision available in FSM.
Okay. Okay, fine. In this session, like in this training, only through middleware, Proaxia middleware, will you teach us between integration between S4 to FSM, or any other way will you teach?
So if we are going to have an integration with S4HANA, okay, so these master data we can bring through CPI.
CPI, okay, CPI again, BTP, I think will
Yes,
it
it
be
is currently
in-house?
housed inside BTP. Okay. Technically, earlier we used to call it Cloud Platform Integration. Now we call it CI, Cloud Integration. It is currently housed inside BTP.
So in that case, what will be the role for FSM consultant if we have to bring data from S4? So
See,
like means yeah.
we are going to use this master data in our transaction. All
Hmm.
right. So once we have all these master data, so now there are two people, two teams. One is the consultant. So when we are doing the implementation, we need to make sure that we are getting the right data in the right column or right object. Okay, everything is coming fine. Okay, this is one of the role. And once we have
Hmm.
this master data, we are going to use this master data in our transaction. when we are creating a service call, activities, time and material journal. So all these master data we are going to leverage in our transactions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this like FSM is having their own backend or how it works? Like means is there any
Mm.
backend programming as well in that?
So there is no backend as such. Okay, there is a little programming required, which is called JavaScript. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that I'll show you. So majorly we are going to use in the business rules and in the
Okay.
screen configurations. Okay, but there is no backend as such, like no web app, no cloud
Mm-hmm.
application studio, no backend. All the coding that we are going to do, little coding, whatever is available in the front
Mm-hmm.
end only. There is a placeholder.
Okay. And earlier it was like
Samir,
yeah.
yeah, please carry on. Please carry on.
Earlier it was like a MRS, so like means how like SAP is like giving access, like they want to do with MRS or FSM, how like they suggest to the customer?
Depends upon the requirement. MRS is what do you call it?
Multi-resource
Multi-resource
scheduling or
scheduling is
Yeah,
right.
multi-resource scheduling. So it's a different tool. Okay,
mm-hmm.
FSM is a different tool. Again, MRS has a separate license. FSM also has a separate license, right? And
Okay.
MRS is majorly used for the PM guys.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you have
Correct.
customer service, then you have
Mm-hmm.
to use FSM.
FSM. Okay, got it, got it. And like
Um,
licensing, you mentioned that it will be for one user, like everything development, quality, production, like that. But do they have like a separate base on the users as well, or like user band is also there? How many users
Yes, yes.
can?
Yeah. So it's a per user per month basis, right? Like any
Yeah.
other SaaS based system. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
go for CPQ, C4C, Marketing
Mm-hmm.
Cloud, all those are SaaS based system, right? So
Yeah.
how do they charge? They charge per user per month basis. Similarly, here also, how, what, how the number of users you are going to create, they are going to
Mm-hmm.
charge accordingly.
Okay.
one last question, Samir. The system which you're providing, S4 system,
Mhm.
which is like integrated to FSM, is it private edition or like on-premise kind of thing?
This I'm not sure right now. Naveen can answer this question.
I'm so sorry, I missed out.
Naveen, the thing is that S4 system which you're providing integrated to FSM, is it on-premise or private edition?
No, on premises only. If you want private edition, it's 4 to 5 lakhs.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to.
It's
Okay,
on
fine.
premises only. Yeah.
So in this case, Samir, will you use CPI or like Proaxia middleware?
CPI.
Okay.
Proaxia
Yeah,
has
thank you, Samir.
a lot of additional license cost here.
Okay, okay.
All right. Any other questions, anyone? Before we wrap, I started my career as a SAP CRM guy, and then later on moved into many other modules, um, uh, Qualtrics, FSM, C4C, S4HANA service. Okay, so I worked on all these modules. The SAP dynamics from the CX perspective is changing a lot. Like for example, if you say EAM is a kind of stable module which is going from long, and then you are okay to stay there for long, and then you can have a few more additional add-on expertise of, like for example, FSM, and then it's okay for you. But the CX dynamic within SAP is very very fragile here. So what happens is, like, we started our career with SAP CRM. We worked on for 5 years, and then SAP came up with this C4C, and to compete with Salesforce, right? Because Salesforce was in cloud, so they wanted to have a system in cloud, so they brought this C4C into picture. And then now C4C V2 is there, that is something called C4C version 2. And then In C4C itself, there was a module, sub-module inside C4C that was related to resource scheduling. Okay, we used to call it resource scheduler. So we used to work in the resource scheduler inside C4C only, but then all of a sudden we learned that SAP has bought one company called Core Systems. So Core Systems they have bought in, I think, in 2020 sometimes or 2019. I think during COVID they have bought this, and they said that this product is going to be available for everybody who is using SAP any module for the on-call services. Okay, and then slowly and gradually they removed the resource scheduler functionality from C4C. Okay, so now there is no resource scheduler available in C4C. If somebody has to do, has to have a system which is required for the on-site services or field services, they have to go with this field service management. Okay, and these days, I mean, past 2 years, I can see, past 1.5 years, SAP is putting a lot of effort in selling FSM. Okay, so we all know, since we all are from SAP background, we all know how the SAP licensings are sold. We know that SAP, there is no fixed cost or license fee for any of the module, unlike any other system. If you go to Oracle or if you go to Microsoft, they have fixed pricing for everybody. Like, if you want to opt for a CRM module in Microsoft, there is a X amount you have to pay upfront, and then there will be, like, per user per month basis you have to pay. Here also in SAP also it's the same, but no, I'm not sharing my screen, Ram. I'll share it. But here in SAP world, there is no fixed cost. Okay, and no fixed price, like it's always negotiable. I remember when we started our career in CRM was being sold to the customers along with ECC for free. Okay, and then they had one more module called contact center, which is required for interaction center, which is currently available in S4 service now. They also used to sell it for free. There was no license cost. Okay, so this is the modus operandi of SAP to sell product or boost any product. Okay, so these days, why I'm telling you this all story, because these days I have seen that people or SAP has started selling FSM aggressively in many of the project I have seen. I have taken maybe more than 50. I have given training more than 50, 60 people in FSM so far in past 1.5 years. Okay, to all the big organizations like IBM, and you can name many other big companies. I have given training, 10, 20, 30 people in one batch. So all these companies are gearing up, pulling up their socks, because they have seen a lot of traction in the FSM world. Okay, and since FSM is seamlessly integratable with S4 HANA or ECC or C4C, okay, that is one of the another reason that people who all are opting for whosoever company they want to have a field service product, and if they already have any SAP ERP in the backend, they would definitely prefer FSM on top of, or if when compared to any other system, right? Because we all know that for the integration we have a middleware available, CPI, PIPO. Now it is all housed inside the BTP system. And if you try to integrate any third party system with SAP, it will not work as good as compared to any of the SAP modules, right? So that is one of the reason, like, and we all know that more than 80% of the organizations are using SAP as an ERP, right? So it is quite easy for SAP to sell off FSM to their existing customers. And these days I have done like 5 6 implementations so far in FSM. My first implementation was back in 2020 during the COVID season. There I learned FSM. I did certification, because normally in the US regions, if the product is new, they ask for certified consultant. Now they'll not ask because it's now old product, right? But whenever the new product comes into the market, like I did certification of FSM when FSM started. I did certification of C4C when C4C started back in 2015. I did Qualtrics implement, and now Qualtrics is not a part of SAP landscape when actually it came. So whenever a new module comes, I prefer to certify on that because that will be easier to get a project. Right? Any questions so far?
So how Proaxia will involve here? Since you're saying
Okay.
middleware is BTP,
Mm-hmm.
so I sorry, I was not much aware on this.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a Proaxia website also is there, and there is many cloud connectors also there. So what is the difference between these two areas? Like, is it not middleware?
Proxia is also a middleware. Okay. Proaxia comes, see what Proaxia played very smart. It's a company. Okay, so what they did is when the FSM came into picture, okay, SAP has taken a lot of time to develop the standard integration between ECC and FSM, between S4 HANA and FSM. Okay, they took a lot of time to build the standard APIs. Okay, so what Proaxia did, they came up front and they built the middleware solution for the seamless integration between S4 HANA and FSM. Now, what happens? I mean, if you talk about today's scenario, even today's scenario, not all the standard APIs are available if you want to do full integration between S4 HANA and FSM. You have to go with Proaxia. So now it totally depends upon your business scenario, what exactly you want to integrate, what is going to be your use case or your implementation agenda. Based on that, we will see if we can achieve this using CPI or BTP, or we need Proaxia for that. It totally depends upon the requirement. What is your requirement? Alternatively, what SAP did is, if you have C4C in your landscape, like for example, you have S4 HANA and C4C both, right? So there is a different combination of integration involved where you can alternatively use C4C to route some of the replication from FSM to C4C and then finally to S4 HANA. In that scenario, you won't need Proaxia at all. So that is the combination right now.
Got it.
So if you
Understood.
have only S4 HANA and FSM, okay, I have done some implementation in that area as well. In that scenario, some of the replication will not work because the standard API is not available. Then you'll have to opt for Proaxia. If you have C4C also in your landscape, then we will integrate both C4C and S4 HANA with FSM, and we will route some of the data to S4 HANA from FSM via C4C.
But understood. In our test system, our approach is BTP by using some of the cloud connection from Proaxa to S4. Right. This is the approach we are using.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe your business scenario would require some of the data replication. Okay, I'll give you one example. Suppose your technician are going on site and they are performing the service, and you want to record their timing that they're spending on the route as well as in the service. Okay, so there are two time entry that you are capturing from the technician perspective. One is the data, one is the time they are spending on road, to visit to the client location, and second is the time they are spending on performing the service. Now you want to capture both the data into your S4 HANA system for their attendance and time entry. We call it CATS, cross application timesheet, where the data of the technician is going to be integrated with SAP SuccessFactor or maybe the S4 HANA, what do you call the SCM module. Okay, in that scenario, you would definitely need Proaxia to integrate such data.
Got it.
Okay. So from integration perspective, we are going to learn towards the end. Okay. First, we need to understand what FSM is all about what are their functionalities, what we do as an end user, what we do as a consultant, what all configuration we need to do, how we set up the system. Okay, so that all we will learn. Okay, there are few functionalities that we have to learn, like dispatching board, service call, master data, crowd service, self service. So these all are the big features of FSM. Okay, mobile application, how we configure them, screen configuration. So we learn everything, okay, step by step, and then we move into the integration point. Okay.
Samir, agreed what you're saying, Samir. Actually,
Hmm.
fine. That is fine. That approach is good, and I just wanted to know that the prerequisite of system, like when we are where it will start. Actually, will it start an integration topic, or here on it will? What is the prerequisites to set up the SAP? Sorry, connection establishment. These things and all. Where it will start? Which topic?
I am not sure if I understood your question. So when you say
My
starting,
question,
hmm
my question is that
hmm
regarding system prerequisites for setup,
hmm
which topic will you cover these things under?
let me share my screen. One second. I haven't received the system access as yet, but I'll show you my system. Okay.
Okay. Like communication setup, system requirements,
Hmm.
exploration of cloud connectors and APIs. These are all like and responsibility of each like support. What is the basis role here and our role? These things and all.
We will
Uh,
talk about all this scenario when we are doing the integration. Okay. So like
okay.
if you ask me about the let me share my screen one second. I am going to share my screen. Let me know once you are able to see it. Can you see my system?
Yeah, I can. I can. So,
Okay. All right. So there are two kind, when you say prerequisite, there are two things. One is what are the prerequisite to set up an FSM system? That is part one. Second, what are the prerequisite to do an integration? Okay, so integration topic is a separate topic. Okay, when we talk about integration, then there is a lot of prerequisites, right? You need three systems, four systems, maybe. You need FSM, you need S4HANA, you need CPI, you need Proaxia. Okay, then there is a separate configuration that we will have to do in all the systems, whether it's S4HANA, sorry, FSM. We'll do some prerequisite configuration everywhere. Like you said, communication system, communication arrangement, initial load, where we will replicate all the data, and then there will be some scenarios where one time we have to replicate certain data. Okay, we will use Excel upload. Okay, so those are a different topic. Okay, then we have a set of configuration that you need to do in the S4 HANA system as well as in the CPI system, right? That is one part. Okay, that scenario comes into picture when we are going to integrate the system. Okay, second scenario, we will talk about how to set up the FSM system. Okay, so to set up the FSM system, you need to have account, company, user, policy. Okay, so here what is your role, what is basis role, what is the end user role, how we provide roles, and how basis comes into picture. So that all we will learn in the normal setup scenario. Okay, so what I'm suggesting is that the integration point, because if you don't know the system, right, FSM, then there's no point talking about the integration. I'll tell you integration from the start, then again I'll have to restart it, because when we'll see how the data is replicating, I'll have to go through all the configurations again.
agreed. Okay, got it. Understood. Agreed with you. And hope these things will whether we covered or not. I just checked with you.
No,
Okay,
no, no, we are going to cover all of them. Okay.
fine,
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
So let's start, like, suppose you are going to implement FSM either standalone or along with S4 HANA. Okay, what all you need from SAP? Okay, like, see, S4 HANA is a different ball game altogether. Okay, whatever, no matter which module you are working on, whether you are working on EAM, CS, SD, FI, MM, that's a different ball game. Okay, there the basis role, they dominate. Basis people dominate there. You do not get SAP underscore all access. They will provide you a specific access of a specific T codes based on your area, because you are going to perform in a specific module. And that, of course, that happens when you have big implementation. Okay, if you have small implementation, like if you're going to do S4 HANA cloud implementation for a mid-sized company, then you may not see a basis guy at all, right? I've seen those sort of implementations as well, where there is no basis guy. Okay, so they'll initially set up the system since it is on cloud, so it comes with all the installation, with all the prerequisite data, even basic configuration is already there in place. You will get the access, and then suppose you are from SD, Ram is from SD, you are from EAM, Samir is from FI, and then we'll all three sit together and we'll do our configuration, we'll talk to each other, we'll see how the data replication is working, and then finally we'll make the system live. Okay, now if you're doing big implementation, maybe in one module there are 10 people, right? In SD there are 6 people, in FI there are 7 8 people, and then everybody has different role to perform. There is a team lead, there is a project manager, there is a solution architect, so that has a different role altogether.
Okay.
On the contemporary, FSM is pretty small tool. Okay, you won't see more people working on it, maybe one or two consultants. You won't see much involvement of basis guys here. Okay, you may be end up doing all the basis activity yourself. Okay,
Correct.
why I'm
Yeah.
saying this? Because you won't basis people don't know the system. Either you will have to teach your basis guy that these all are the basis activities you need to perform, and you take the charge of it. You decide who will get what access, how they will access the system, what all tile they will see. And then you maybe have to, if you are changing people, even as an end user or consultant, you'll have to request it to the basis. Basis guy will give you the access. Okay, but let me tell you honestly, basis people don't know the system. They'll
Exactly.
ultimately come to you and
Exactly.
ask you.
This is the area we are struggling. That's
Yes,
why I asked you.
I know, I've seen that. I have worked on one of the big implementation of FSM, where we had implemented FSM with S4 HANA with one of the big retail giant. They had thousands of people working on site, and then they are getting thousands of ticket in a day for each zone, each area. And then there they have assigned everything to the basis, because there are a lot of people accessing FSM. But FSM people failed, and they always used to come to us and asking, like, okay, teach me how to do that. Okay, because when you say basis, if you go to S4 system, the basis people don't care about the modules. Okay, and they have already learned it slowly and gradually, even if they have migrated from ECC to S4 HANA, right? They have learned. Okay, because the basics of basis remains the same, whether it's an ACC system or an S4 HANA system.
Yes.
But when you talk about the cloud modules, they don't know. Okay, so what happens these days, when the organizations are hiring basis people, they are also adding, like, apart from S4 HANA, what all modules you have worked upon, because until and unless you work on it, you won't know it. And then these days there are many cloud modules that SAP has acquired or being used, like, for example, success factor. Okay, it's a separate tool, right, for HR. And it's a big tool, and then basis guys has to learn success factor for their basis activity, like C4C, like marketing cloud, like FSM, like CPQ. There are I know 10 15 modules are there which SAP has in their landscape, but it's not a part of S4 HANA box. In those scenarios, basis guys depends upon what all project they have worked in, and then when they learn, get the opportunity to work on the project of, say for example, FSM, then they'll know it. Otherwise they don't know it, then they'll ultimately come to you and ask that, boss, you tell me how to give the access to the user. That is the reason, if we are learning FSM, when if you ask me personally, I know what all are the basis activities. Okay, and I do it by myself because I know that in whichever project I am going to work upon, it is either I'll not get any basis guy for FSM, or even if I get a basis guy, I'll have to teach them how to do the basis activities, right? So here in this course we will learn all the basis activities as well. Okay,
Okay.
like business roles, how to assign the business role, how the organization structure comes into picture when we are assigning the business role, how to assign the user to the business role, how to create the users, how to activate the users, everything will learn. Mhm. All right.
Got it. All right. Perfect.
Okay. Now, so suppose you are working on S4 HANA, and then your organization has decided to opt SAP FSM. All right. Now they'll come and ask you that you tell me, we want FSM access. Now you tell me, I went to SAP. SAP has what SAP will give you. SAP will give you this number 91772. This is your account ID. Okay, this ID you are going to get from SAP when you acquire license from them. Ram is still on mute, so I'm gonna check if he has any question. Okay, no question. All right. So Ram, if you have any question, just ping here. Okay, I'll keep on coming and checking here. All right. So yeah, Malesh. So basically, what happens? Like, suppose this is the guy who has asked SAP for the license, and SAP will charge you, not charge you. That is totally negotiable, and then they will give you this name and this number. Okay, and an initial ID and password. This is what you are going to receive in your email. Okay, this name, this ID, one user ID, and one password. That's it. Okay, and then this, of course, this is going to come to the IT head or whosoever is managing the IT. Okay, and then they'll pass it on to you, and they'll say that, okay, boss, this is the what we have received from SAP. You go ahead and start implementing. Okay, now I'll tell you. You see this URL, u.coresystems.net. This is the static URL for every client. Okay, and how do you differentiate the client? With this number. Okay, so what you do is, and then you see there is one additional URL called admin. Okay, when you pass on this slash admin, then it will open the backend of the system. This is the backend. All right, and then if you remove the admin and press or type in shell, shell shell, then it will log into the front end of the system. Let me show you this screen. You see this? This is the front end of the system.
Got it.
Okay. Now this is the front end, and then of course you see all these options available, and I think this is all. Okay, and but in your organization, of course, not everybody will get all the access, depends upon the role. So that's a basis activity that we'll learn, and we'll see how to assign different tiles to different set of people that we are going to learn. Then here you see this URL. This is Core Systems. Why Core Systems? Because earlier the actual name of FSM was Core Systems. This is a Swiss-based company. Even this company still exists. See, this is the company which SAP has acquired back in 2019 and renamed it to field service management or SAP FSM. All right. And then at that point in time only they had this URL, and SAP is still using, excuse me, SAP is still using this URL for login. Okay.
Got it. Yes, understood.
I was seeing, and then every quarter SAP comes with the upgrade. Okay, and I see that recent upgrade they said that they are going to replace this URL now. It's been 5 years and they haven't replaced this URL. Okay, so I heard that SAP is now going to change this URL, but so far this is the URL. Okay, now what happens when you get this account ID? Okay, so this is your static URL. Okay, so what you have to do is when you get the system for the first time, you don't know what you don't if you know the account number, you pass the account number here only at the end, like 97035. Even if you don't want to put this, that's okay. Here you have to pass the account name. Okay, and you see I have so many account names here. Okay, these all are different systems. Okay, so you have to pass this account name which comes with your initial credentials from SAP, this one. Okay, so you pass this one, then you click on sign in, and then the initial user ID and password that you receive, and then you click on sign in and you get inside this system. Any questions here?
Clear, clear.
Now what happens when you come inside, you go to your on your left hand side, whatever you are seeing here, this is all your configuration area. This access you are not providing to the end user. Maybe you provide it to some of the super users for certain activities, but generally we do not give this backend access to your end user. So we have this screen as a backend, we have this screen as a front end. So your dispatcher, your technician, your super user, your field technician, leader, team lead, everybody is going to get this access. Okay, this access only for the backend people or maybe for the consultant level people, because here is the area where do you do all your configurations. Okay, there is no other backend in FSM. Okay, only these two screens, and the third screen is for your mobile application. Mobile application, there are three types of mobile application. One is available for Windows, second is available for Android, third is available for your Apple Store. Okay, so if you're using Apple phone, you can download it from your Play Store uh, by name Field Service Management. Like if I go here, Android Play Store Field Service Management. Now you see here, this is your application. Okay, you have to install it from here. Who is going to use this? Of course, your field technician. Because in this application, they are going to receive all their service calls where he has to or she has to go and work upon. Okay, and similarly for Apple Store also you can download it from Play Store, and if you by any chance if you have Windows phone, okay, like Nokia Lumia or something, then you can even download it from your Windows phone as well. Okay, there are some of the minor features that changes according to the operating system you are using, whether you are using Android or Apple. 95% matches, like you can do everything in all three application, whether you are using Windows or Android or Apple. There are some minor things that you cannot do in one of them, and you will get that list somewhere in the SAP documents. So this is the URL from where you will get to see everything about the field service management system. Okay, features and scope, system requirement, product information, integration, roadmap, what is new in mobile, release note, product information, everything you'll get to see here. Okay, settings and configurations, admin configurations, mobile. Okay, everything, whatever SAP provides, all the integration pointers, everything you'll get it here. Okay, so this is a kind of one-stop shop for your field service implementations. Okay, so here you see what all features you are going to get in your SAP Field Service Management mobile app. Okay, what all supports you are going to get. Okay, what all Android version SAP is supporting. Like suppose somebody has a very old phone, you see this is deprecated. Okay, so if you have whatever version you are using, okay, so what all version SAP is allowing, what all version SAP is removing, so you'll have to keep an eye on this, and you have to keep on floating this information to all the team members to upgrade their systems or their mobile application, so that they are you know they are in sync with what all features they can use. Okay, so there is a lot. Okay, what all Android settings you can do in your mobile application. We'll go through this in detail, don't worry. I'm just giving you a bird's eye view on the things that is going to be available for it. Okay, for your handheld devices you can also install the mobile app on your computer and laptop. I think mine is already installed. Yeah, you see. So because my laptop is a Windows laptop, okay, so I have installed the Windows version of FSM mobile application in my computer. This will work similar to how it works on the mobile application or handheld device. Okay, so here also I'll have to pass the account ID first, because since the initial ID is static for all the client, so either I'll have to pass the account ID or the account name, and then I'll have to pass in my username, user password, sign in, and bingo, I'll be inside, and then I'll work as a mobile client. All right, so these are only three systems available. Okay, unlike in S4 HANA, what happens in S4 HANA, you get SPRO access, right? And when you type in SPRO, and then you are inside the configuration screen, but that screen is also same as the end user, right? But here in FSM you are getting three different systems. One is the backend system, this one is the front end system, this one, and third is your mobile application. These are the three systems, and all three systems should be in sync, and mostly they are in sync. No matter where you are doing what, okay, you are always in sync. So, for example, you are working on a mobile application as a technician, you have received a ticket to perform the service, you click on accept button. The moment you click on accept button, the data will sync back to the backend, so that the dispatcher will get to know that okay, the technician has accepted the call and he is going to start his travel for the particular service.
Um, Samir, I have a question here for the mobile device actually. So there is no need to do manual sync kind of action from the technician, right? Automatically it will get sync.
We have both the scenarios. Okay, there is a business rule that you can implement in the system, and you can define the time limit. Okay, and during that time, every time that seconds or minutes, whatever you put in the rule, okay, after that minute, the system will automatically resync.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
Otherwise, you have a manual synchronization button available, and it is always advisable to use the manual synchronization rather than using the auto synchronization, because it will put a lot of effort in the performance of the system. So think, for an example, you have made this automated that every 90 seconds or every 60 seconds or every 30 seconds, the technician mobile app will be automatically synced. Now, even though you are in the idle time, or even though 90% of the technicians are not using the mobile application, even though the system will trigger the synchronization, and unnecessarily it will put pressure on the performance of the system. So you have say 10,000 or 1,000 technicians who are working on different things, and every 90 seconds or every 60 second system will trigger that synchronization, and all those 1,000 synchronization will hit your backend system.
Do,
So think from the performance perspective.
don't we have a delta sync option in the FSM side?
It is a delta sync only, it is not a full sync.
Uh,
Okay, so when you go with the sync, okay, I don't remember the credentials now. I'll have to check. Okay, so even if you click on the sync, only the delta will be synced,
okay.
not the full sync.
Full sync. Okay.
Okay, but even if it is a delta sync, okay, it will put some pressure on the performance of the system. Okay,
Got it.
so but you can do that. I mean, in one of the implementation, we had done it wherein we had only say 100 something technicians were there, so we did it. Okay, but in larger implementation, it is not advisable where your thousands of technicians are working, because see, if you think yourself as a technician, right? So you have got the ticket, you accepted the ticket, and you want immediately the synchronization to happen. Very good, that is a good idea. Even you do not want to click on the synchronization so the data is syncing, but now you have started traveling, and then you have to travel for 90 minutes or maybe 2 hours to reach to the client. Now during that 2 hours, you do not want any of the data to sync back to the backend, right? But if you have implemented this auto synchronization in these 2 hours, system will trigger 400 times unnecessarily. Okay,
Okay.
so that is the reason. And see, this system is not very robust in terms of data loading, because of course it's a cloud system, right? And then depends upon what kind of data center you are using, and all those factors also comes into picture. We'll talk about that in detail. Okay, but it is not advisable if you have thousands and thousands of technician. Yeah, if you have 50, 100, 150, then you can do that.
Fine.
That is the, and then if you can refer to the document also, in the document also they have given the threshold, like when exactly you can trigger the auto sync, which is advisable. Of course you can go beyond that, but then if anything fails, you go to SAP, then SAP will simply deny that, okay, you are using more than the threshold, so this will happen. So
No.
then in that scenario you'll not be able to do anything but to come back to the manual synchronization,
Great.
right?
Great. Thank you. Got it.
Okay. Now, suppose you have got your system, you have logged in. So this is the first screen you are going to log in. You will see that this is your account ID, this is your name. Okay, this is very important, and this is going to be shared to all the to technical consultant. And if you want two-factor authentication to be enabled for more security reasons, this also you can do. So you know what is two-factor authentication, right?
Right. Yes. Yes.
How about you, Ram? You know what is two-factor authorization? Ram, you really have to fix your system. Otherwise, it is going to be one-way communication always, and you may miss some of the important things. Okay, all right. So you will enable the two-factor authentication, and then whenever you are going to log in, you'll get a OTP on your mobile phone, and then you pass in that OTP. Then only you'll be able to log into the system. That is more for the security purpose. All right. And then you get something called cluster. It is not required. Account login supported. If you one click it, the login will not happen with this user. Okay, so generally when you get the first uh, implementation, sorry, first user, um, see the how the cloud system works. Okay, that is always on per user per month basis. Okay, no matter which cloud system you're using, whether it's S4 HANA, uh, success factor, C4C, FSM. Okay, the payment happens based on per user per month basis, meaning if you have enabled any user in your system, you have enabled the user for login, the SAP would know that this is an active user, and then you'll have to pay at the end of the month for that user, even if you are not going to use that user as a either as a technician or as a whatever. If you are not going to use that, even though SAP will charge for you. Okay, so you have to be mindful, and since it is a basis activity, so generally we don't care about this because basis takes care of it. You get the access from basis, but since here you are not going to get the basis people involved, you are the person who is going to create a user. So you have to be very mindful how many users you are activating here, because that user is going to cost you from SAP if it's a non-production system. Sorry, if it's a production system. Of course, non-production system, you can go ahead and activate many users or whatever you want. But if it's a production user, then of course, whatever users you are going to be activated in the system, you'll have to pay to SAP, right? So generally, we don't care about this when we are working as an individual consultant or working on any other module. But since this is going to be your baby, okay, you have to take care of all the basis activities. So you need to be mindful when you are creating the users. I'll click on users button over here. You see, there are many users created in the system. Many of the users are strike through. Okay, many of the users you will see active. Okay, many of the users you see active. Okay, many of the users you are seeing strike through meaning, so suppose you have activated one user. Okay, and the moment you activated, SAP has counted that user. Okay, and they're going to charge you for that. Okay, and suppose you do not use that, or maybe the employee has resigned or he's going out of the system, you have to deactivate that user by striking it through. Okay, so it's a very simple process. You click on this and then you click on the deactivate button, the user will be deactivated and SAP will stop charging from you. Okay, second thing, when you create a user, you see there are three check boxes here. One is active, deleted, and plannable resource. Okay, when the user is either active or plannable resource, you have to pay to SAP. Okay, only when it is deleted, then SAP will stop charging for that particular user from you. What is the difference between active and plannable? Active user may be any user, whether he is plannable or not, but plannable user is only going to be plannable user, meaning that user is going to come up in your dispatching board to take up the services. What I'm trying to say here is, if I go to planning and dispatching, there is something called dispatching board, and dispatching board is the area where all the technicians are listed. Okay, and here in the downside area, here is the place where you get all the service calls. Either they are creating manually here, or coming from S4 HANA, coming from C4C, coming from ServiceNow, XYZ system. From wherever this is created, it is going to be listed here. And here is the list of all the technicians who are going to accept your calls. Okay, so right now I see there are three technicians. So I'll just give you a small glimpse of manually creation of the ticket. So you are creating a ticket, then you are selecting a customer, and then boom, you click on save button. The ticket gets created. The ticket ID is 44, and then you drag and drop it to here. So this way, Christian is the technician who has received this service call to work upon. Now, who is Christian? Christian is a field technician. How do I know that Christian is a field technician? From here, if the technician is a plannable resource. Okay, if I'll create a technician who is not a plannable resource, then those technician will not be available in the list to take up the service calls or the tickets. Okay, next is if you do not want to create a user as a plannable resource, but still you want to activate it, give me one example. What type of user you are going to create in the system who is going to be active but not plannable?
I think super user or admin.
Exactly. Super user, dispatcher, approver. There could be many reasons through which. for which we are going to create the user, and we are not going to make them a plannable resource. Okay. I'll come back to my account. So basically, this is the account login supported. If you want to, want this user to log into the system, this is the password. Now again, password changing is very easy here. Okay, like in SU01, you go ahead and change your password. Similar here, you go ahead and change your password, and then there is something called password status. Password must be changed, no password change, or okay. So okay is okay. Whatever password you will change, you will pass on to the user. Actually, we don't play around in this area, okay, because this is the master user. Okay, so generally we don't play around this area. Let me come back to the users. I go inside any of the active users. Suppose this is my user. I click on edit button. You see this is the password of the user, and this is the email address of the user. So if this person is a technician, then when he log in, first what he has to do, he has to pass on the account name. Okay, so by the account name, system will understand that this person is going to access this account. Okay, so the differentiator is this account ID and the account name. So you have to pass on this account name first, and then you have to put you in the username, you have to put your email, and in the password, you have to put your password. Okay, so if as a basis guy, I have to change this password, I'll change this password and I'll let you know. And next time when you log it, you'll give this user ID and the new password, whatever I'm going to put it here. And then the password status showing no password change, meaning whatever new password I have created here, when the user will log in for the first time, he don't need to change the password. But if I say password must be changed, and if I pass on this password to the technician, when this technician will log in for the first time, system will ask for the password change so that he can change and make its own password, and I would not be able to know that. Okay, expiry date. If I any of the technician who is going to go off from the system, maybe he has put on down his paper, and I know that he's only going to work until November last, then I'll give that password expiry date. After this date and time, the technician will not be able to log into the system. Okay. Then of course, first name, last name of the user. User role, we'll learn about this. This is again a basis activity. Like, what role we are going to create. We'll create all the role, and then we'll give the access to the role of the role to the user, so that when the user log in, he'll get to see the access accordingly. This is again the basis activity which we are going to learn. Here you see user policy group. Okay, in SAP S4HANA language, we can say that this is the business rule. Again, this is basis activity, but we are going to do that. So we create a user policy group. Here you see there is another placeholder where you go and create. We'll learn about this in detail, don't worry, I'm just giving you a basic idea. Here you pass on the user policy group, and then here, what are these? You see, this is the big list here, right? This is nothing but all the companies that has been created inside the FSM system. Remember, in our demo session, we have discussed about this, that you get only one system with one license, right? And then you also have a provision to create multiple companies inside one system, one account, right? And then you can integrate different companies with different systems also. And if you want to integrate different companies with different company code, that also you can do, right? In ECC we have different company codes, right? And that is how you differentiate the business processes inside SAP S/4HANA. Similarly, here also you can create different companies, and when you are creating a users, you give different company access to the user. So suppose, I mean, of course, this is a demo system of my organization. That's why I'm seeing these many companies. Generally, you don't see these many companies. You get to see only two, three. Okay, and then when you are creating a user, you are giving accesses of each company to this user, so that when the user is going to log in. Okay, so here when he will log in for the first time, he'll get to see the list of companies that he has been assigned to, and he has to choose which company he is going to work upon. At one point of time, the technician is going to work in one company always, right? And then here when you go down, you see the persons. Person is nothing but the system automatically create one person when you create a user in the system. Okay, and this person decide what all accesses he is going to get. Meaning when the person will log in for the first time, inside he'll see the tiles, right? So which tile he is going to see, here we decide. We'll learn this in detail, don't worry. Here there is something called maintenance, we'll learn about this. Here there is called some security, what all security role, SML configuration, wrong password, how many items you want to give the person to put a wrong password. After that we will lock the user so that unauthorized person do not log into the system. This is kind of basis activity that we do. Now see, you have to teach everything to the basis guy if you do not want to do that, or if you have a business process where your basis team has to take care of this. So you have to teach users, user policy group, user role, companies, password policy. This is all being taken care by the basis guys if you have basis in your project. Otherwise you'll have to do that. Okay. Then you see these are other configurations available. Another thing I wanted to show you quickly is the companies. When you go inside the companies, you see these. You remember when we were checking the users were getting a list of long company. So these all are the companies. Okay, so these many companies are created in the system because this is a kind of IDES system for my organization. That's the reason I'm seeing them. Generally, we create one or two companies here, and you see on your left hand side, now you see these different work centers, right? But when I click any of the companies, you see that the options got changed here. Okay, so now these are different configuration available, and whatever configuration you are going to do here, this is going to be for this particular company only, meaning you can do different configurations for different companies, and ideally that's the way we do it. So this is your backend system. Okay, we are going to learn each and everything inside this backend configuration. That is our job. And in parallel, we are also going to see all the end user activities. Like for example, if I go here in the customer self-service, what all options we are getting, what is QR code, what is user management. Then in the planning and dispatching, we'll see how the planning and dispatching work. So how I'm going to teach you, my method of teaching is I'll first tell you the end user activity. Because if you do not know the end user activity, there is no point going to the configuration because you will not understand this. Okay. So I'll show you maybe on Monday. Today is Sunday, right? Okay. So tomorrow, whenever we are going to sit, I'll tell you how it works as an end user, how we create a service call, what all are the fields of the service call, how we assign it to the technician, how the technician log into the system, how they see the service ticket assigned to him, how he accept the service, how he start his travel, how he reach the customer's location, what he do in the system when he has to start his service, what he has to do when he's completing the service, how we generate the smart forms, how we take customer signature, how we close the ticket, and how it comes back to the system. Okay, so we'll see all the end user processes. What is service map? What is service call? What is activities? What is generals? And then likewise, there are so many configurations available for the end user also. So we'll learn each one of them one by one. And in parallel also, we will see what all are the backend configuration that is available. So for example, your user say that whenever I'm creating a business partner here, I don't want to see this office phone. Okay, we'll do the configuration in the backend, remove it from here. Maybe your customer says, I want this mobile phone to be mandatory. Okay, we will go there, do the configuration in the backend. Okay, so this is what we do as a uh, consultant of FSM. Any question?
Yeah, in the FSM, the hierarchy is like account company.
Mm-hmm.
Under account, many companies will be the same way. SAP client company code, sorry, company code, and company plants will be there. Which object will integrated with the end companies, like in the plant or company code from SAP?
Company code level. The integration will be on company code level.
Company code.
Yeah. All right, so let's keep it up to here today, and then let's meet tomorrow. I think we'll get the system access by tomorrow then, so that we can start full-fledgedly on it. And I'll also recommend you guys to do the end user activity, because it is very important to understand what we do as an end user. If we are good with the end user activity, we will get more and more questions in terms of the features and how we configure them, and that way we'll learn more. Okay. I already have one Excel. I think I'll have to amend a little bit. I'll share you the learning plan with you tomorrow maybe, and we'll follow that guidelines so that we make sure that we are not missing anything. Okay. And even if you miss something and you guys feel that okay, I need to learn this as well, I know that there is nothing, I have everything whatever the SAP FSM offers. Okay, but even on top of that, if you guys feel that okay, I think there is something, this point is missing, you can let me know upfront. We will add it to the plan and we'll make sure that we learn end to end of FSM. All right. Tell me one thing, Malaysia and Ram. Do you feel we are going fast? We are going slow? How are we right now? I mean, what do
This,
you observe?
yeah, this is okay for me. I'm able to catch you,
Okay.
Samir. I'm
So
fine.
just give me a heads up if you feel we are going slow, we'll change the speed. Okay. Or either if we are going fast, we'll change the speed accordingly, because the whole idea is that you should learn. Okay. So don't be vocal about what you feel, what you observe, and let me know the feedback so that I'll change myself accordingly. Okay.
Yeah, thank you,
I
Samir.
have given a lot of training on FSM. Okay, so I have a platform. Sorry, I have a process to follow, and I make sure that I'm following that process. So I am good with that. I know that what shop topic should I pick up, how to teach you so that you can learn better. But still, if you feel that you want any change, if you feel you have any feedback, you let me know so that that way I also learn it. Okay.
Got it.
All right then. That is all for today. Let's meet tomorrow then. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Even Sunday also you sit with us. Thank you.
No, no. Actually, the plan was to sit yesterday. Okay, but last minute I had some plan going out with family, so that's why I said to meet on weekend. So I'm okay with weekend also. Okay, morning time I'm available on Saturdays and Sundays. So if by any chance if you miss any of the weekdays class, maybe if you are not available or I am not available, then we'll catch up on weekends as well. If you guys
Yeah,
are available, of course.
yeah,
Okay.
we are definitely.
Mm.
And we can flexible. We can do that.
Okay. All right then. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks, Ram. Bye.
This conference
overall
will now be recorded.
feature about the FSM. Do you have any question from previous class, Malesh? You are on mute.
Yeah, yeah, I was talking in a minute, sorry. So yeah, I have a question. What is the approach we are taking in the test system? Like how we are like integrating to the S4 system? Like is it through BTP or some cloud connector, Proaxia cloud connector? Or like I just wanted to understand the approach, integration approach.
It will be using CTI, BTP.
So in the BTP space, we deploying any connectors or
Yeah, in the BTP we have a middleware called CPI,
okay,
or we call it CI now, Cloud Integrator. So
okay,
using that CPI, there are some standard APIs that will be connected
okay,
between C4, FSM and S4HANA.
okay. Yeah, okay. Samir, I understood. Yeah, we can start. I have no questions from previous.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know once you're able to see it. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yeah, I can see.
Okay. So basically, based on the course curriculum that we have, so the module one is related to the introduction of FSM that we did in the last class. Then we have master data, okay, and DTOs. So we'll talk about master data a little later. Okay.
Okay,
Third section we have is for the administration and configuration. This also we will park it now because I want you guys to understand the concept of as an end user. Once you are done with that, then we'll go back to the configuration.
okay,
Okay, what we do as an end user. Okay, so today we are going to start with module 4, that is workforce management, planning and dispatching. All right. So, in the workforce management, planning and dispatching, you see this is the screen we have, planning and dispatching. So, if you go inside the planning and dispatching, this is our screen where most of the time the dispatcher spends his time. Okay.
okay,
So, what it happens here is basically whenever the tickets or a service call that has been that is supposed to be come to FSM system, these are going to be visible here only. Okay, so for example, do you see that there are multiple tabs over here? Okay, so if you see this drop down, we are going to learn all these tabs one by one. Okay, so
mm,
as we mentioned in our previous class that we have something called backend, and then there we also have front end, right? So this is the front end screen which is going to be used either by the team lead or by the dispatcher or any of the backend team, which is actually either they are approving the service calls, either they are approving anything, or they are assigning the tickets to the technicians. Okay, and sometimes we also offer this screen to the technicians as well, but mostly since technicians are on field, okay, so mostly they are using the mobile application. Okay, so here you see we have all these tabs. Okay, in the planning and dispatching, what is happening basically, all the tickets that are being created in all the other systems, maybe it is C4C, ServiceNow, any other XYZ external system, S4 HANA, okay, wherever the service tickets are, the service calls are being created, it is going to come and sit here in this section which is called service call. Okay, now what is a service call? Service call is nothing but you can think from as in layman language, if I tell you, it's nothing but a ticket.
okay,
Okay, so service call or ticket is being created in any other system, and that is being replicated here. Okay, so any tickets which is actually associated with any of the activities which the technician has to go and perform, whether it's on-site repair, on-site service, on-site installation, all those ticket types. Okay, I'll give you one scenario. Like in S4 HANA service industry or service world, what happens that we create multiple service calls. There we do not, in S4 world, we do not call it a service call. Service call is a terminology which is specific to FSM.
Okay.
Okay, in S4 HANA we call it service order.
Okay.
In C4C we call it ticket. In service now we call it ticket. Okay, so different terminology in different systems, but when it comes to S4 FSM, it will be labeled as service call. Okay,
Okay. Got it. Understood. Hello. Are you there?
related to installation
Hello.
via FSM. Now then, out of those four line items, one line item will come and sit here as a service call.
Samir, I think in between I lost your voice. Can you just for 15 seconds before what you said, can you repeat again?
Mhm.
Due to
So
some
what I was
network
saying is,
issue.
okay, no problem. I'll reiterate. So what happens is in any other systems, whatever systems we are using, we call it with a different name. Okay, but when it comes to FSM, we label it as service call. Okay. Now I wanted to give you one example between S4 HANA and FSM. So what happens in S4 HANA, we create a service order, and if that service order has any line item which is related to on-site service, then the moment we release those service order, it will come here in FSM system and it will create a service call. Okay, this scenario comes into picture when we have an integrated scenario. Okay, there may be another scenario wherein suppose our FSM system is integrated with C4C. So in C4C, we create complaint. Okay, and if the complaint are supposed to, if that complaint is supposed to be resolved by visiting on the site customer's location, then those kind of s- complaints are what do you call replicated to FSM, and those will also be called a service call here. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, no matter what our integration scenario is, if there are any ticket or any complaint, any service call which is supposed to be work at the client location, then it will come here and sit here, and that will be labeled as service call. You also have a provision to create service call in FSM directly. So suppose you have a standalone system, okay, you have a standalone FSM system, you want to create all the service calls. Okay, so suppose you are a customer care representative, you have been given the system and one handheld device where you are taking all the calls. So whenever you receive a call, if you think that this complaint what customer is doing is required for you, that some of the technicians should go and visit to the client location and fix that, in that case you will create a service call manually in the FSM system. Okay, so this is the placeholder where you either see all the replicated service calls or you see the plus button in the downside corner. There you also have a provision to create a service call manually. Okay, any question?
Yeah. The manual service calls which we created on this dashboard.
Mm-hmm,
So the same will be replicated in S4 also, right? The bidirectional.
mm-hmm. No. See, if it's a bidirectional scenario, then we would not create the service call here.
No, I'm sorry, not bidirectional. I mean to say that whatever I created manually here in this dashboard, I
Hmm.
can see in the S4 also, right?
See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That is not the ideal scenario. If you
Okay.
have an integrated scenario, then I would prefer that the service order will be generated from
Uh,
the S/4HANA system.
I understand. You gave the example for the standalone system.
Exactly. I gave you the example of standalone system. So
Got
since right now this system is a standalone, so I can go ahead and create a service call here.
it. Okay. Clear.
Okay. So when I click on the plus button, a system will pop up. There's one screen will pop up and it will let you create a service call manually. So now these are the fields slash components of a service call. First of all, this is going to be the service, sorry, subject. So suppose you are an AC company and you sell SEDAIC AC, and you also provide the services. Now you say AC is not working, whatever. Okay, then you have a type. What is the type of the ticket, whether it's warranty, planned, unplanned? So whatever you are seeing here, okay, if you have an integrated scenario, you have to map it with what you have in S4. If you have a individual standalone FSM scenario, then you have a provision that you can create or rename these types based on the organization requirement. So this is configuration. Okay, so suppose you say maintenance. What is the problem type? Electrical, mechanical, unknown, so whatever it is. And then you have a priority: high, medium, low. And then there are certain statuses. Now status is very important. Okay. uh, by default the status is showing as ready to plan, but you have a configuration placeholder where you can change the default status from ready to plan to something else that is showing in the drop down values. Okay, so if you want the default status to be new, that also you can do. Okay, if you want any other status to be created, that also you can create in the configuration area, and that will be shown over here. And you also have a provision to make it default. Okay, so right now the default is showing as ready to plan, but all these statuses are very important when you have an integrated scenario. Okay, because only technically complete service call is eligible to go back to S/4HANA. Okay, so we'll talk about this again when we'll see the integrated scenario. Okay, by default, generally we keep it either new or ready to plan. Now there is a difference between new and ready to plan. New is like you have just created a ticket. So by default, ideally we keep it as new. I'll tell you in some time like what is the difference between new and ready to plan. Okay, so for now I'm just keeping it as new. Then another field is origin, from where you are receiving those tickets or service calls, whether it's an email, telephone, web portal, wherever you are getting that, you can choose that. And then you also have a provision to choose the employee responsible who is going to work on this particular ticket. Okay, not like that, but who is the owner of this particular ticket. Okay. Then next is who is the customer. Here you'll get to see the list of the customer. You have to choose it from the drop down menu. The moment you choose it from the drop down, the customer's address will automatically populate here. And if there is any contact person associated with the customer, that will also show up here. Now, since this customer has three contacts, but system has by default chosen Bartley Crespo. Any idea why? This is normal as for customer creation process.
I think somewhere in the config default contact
Exactly.
person maybe.
So when we create a contact, we associate it with the customer. One of the contact we mark it as primary, and whatever is marked as primary, that will show up here in the drop down. Then you have this planning constant. This is very important, the dates. Okay, so you are taking this date from the customer, that when exactly you are going to start working on the ticket. Okay, so you say, okay, you'll start working on tomorrow since it's very late now. Okay, and the earliest date is 9/20, tomorrow's date. And then what will be your end date? So you say, okay, 10/20. Okay, and what is the due date? I say 29th. This. Okay. So these are the dates. These dates are very important. This plays a crucial role here. Okay. Any notes you want to put, any resolution notes you want to put, you can put. Okay. And this is coming actually from the master data of the customer. So this is overall basic information that you pass when you are creating a service call. Okay. Now currently you see there is another option called skill. I'm not going to talk about it now. We'll talk about it in master data section. Okay. But now the moment I save it, you'll see few more tabs coming up over here. So what I did is basically let's ignore all these tabs right now. So I have simply created one service call, and the ID of the service call is 45. So this is the unique ID. All right. So now if you close, you will just go to the other tab. I'll come back.
One question here is
Mhm.
for the standalone system service calls. How can we take the materials and resources and all these kind of things since we don't have any uh, back-end system, but how
Mhm.
can we utilize those? Uh, I mean, say effort kind of materials, these kind of things. How can we utilize in the
So
standalone system?
basically, see, if you have a standalone system, then you have a very limited activities to perform. Okay, you have a provision to create an equipment in the master data section. Okay, let me show it to you. So if you go from this drop down to the master data, you see these all are the master data available. You have an equipment section over here.
I
So you can
think
always go ahead and create an equipment along with the uh, stock.
your
Okay.
screen is freezed.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
it will take some time. It will take some time.
okay,
It is not coming yet for me also. Okay.
okay,
So there is one problem with FSM is it generally um, uh, the refresh rate is very low. Okay, so sometimes you'll change the configuration, you'll not see it immediately. Okay, so that all sort of thing happens. Okay, so I was showing to you the equipment. Now these are the equipment that has been created in the system so far. Okay, now you see that you have this plus button over here. Using this plus button, you can always go ahead and create the equipments, and then you can assign this equipment to the customers. Okay, so these are customer equipments.
okay,
Okay, so equipments are generally assigned or associated it with the customer. Okay, in CRM language we say it registered product. Okay, so we have this product or equipment. Okay, this is the code, this is the equipment ID, and this is connected with this customer. Okay, so that way we always have a provision in the standalone scenario. We have provision that we can go ahead and create equipments, and then we can use that into our transactions.
materials like consumption and all kind of thing. The same way which you said. Is it
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same?
yeah. It's a very simple. Like I'll show you. Okay, in the master data section where we'll go through. Okay, I'll show you how do we maintain the stocks and how it gets
Okay,
consumed.
then fine.
Okay,
And
yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that.
I can assume that. Uh,
Okay.
I think I can see. I'm seeing only the planning and dispatching service call screen only. Are you sharing something else?
Oh, okay. I was showing you the equipment.
You told that. I thought of to it will present, but somehow still it is showing service calls only. Service call
Okay,
planning dispatching.
okay,
Um,
okay. No worry. Let me go to the master data from here and let me know
now,
if you can see my screen.
yeah, I can see now.
Okay. So now I'm in the master data section. Inside the master data section, I have this equipment section, and these all are the equipments that has been created in the system manually.
Okay,
Okay, so here you have this equipment code, ID, and then this equipment is associated with the customer.
okay,
Okay, and then we are going to use this equipment in our planning and dispatching section if any equipment is required. Okay,
In service calls, particularly.
in service calls, yes. So now I'll go back to the service call. So you see that this service call I have created, the ID is 45. I'll go back or go inside to the service call. Okay, so I'm just trying to tell you how the end-to-end scenario works from the FSM standpoint. Okay,
Okay.
so this is the service call created, and just one thing I want to go is the activity section. Okay, so every time whether you are creating a service call manually or it is going to come from any other system, ERP, CRM, C4C, wherever. Okay, every time a service call gets created, system automatically creates a corresponding activity against the service call.
So
Okay,
that
so
activity means it equal to in S4 operation, right? That is.
yes, in
Mm.
PM language you can say that it's operations data. Okay,
Okay.
but here it behaves little bit differently. Okay, I'll talk about this. So what happens is, for every service call you have one activity created automatically by default with its own ID. Okay, now you see the service call ID is 45, but the activity ID is 78. Okay, you may see multiple activities also created against one service call. Okay, so it totally depends upon the scenario. Okay, we will talk about the scenario. Okay, and then we'll see how these activities are created. But for now, just assume that every time, not assume, you can see that every time whenever you create a service call, an activity gets created automatically. Okay, the ID is 78. Okay, so now you have a service call here. Okay, now what is the next step? Next step is that you need to assign the service call to a technician, right? So there is a person responsible who actually allocate the service tickets or service call to the technician. Now if you go here to the dispatching board, you'll see these all are my technicians available. Okay, so here is this is the section where you actually assign your service call to the technician. Okay, in the downside here you will see the list of all the service call which is ready to be assigned to the technician, and on the top you will see the list of technicians who are available for providing the services, meaning taking up these tickets or service call and start working on it. Now the ticket or the service call that we had created, the ID was 45, right? We don't see that here. Now
Yeah.
let's go back to the service call, and now that is where the status plays a major role. Because the status of the service call was new, that's the reason it was not there in the dispatching board. So for the ticket to be available for the dispatching board, the status should be ready to plan. So now I click on the save button. Now you say I've changed the status. Now when I go to dispatching board, I would definitely see that ticket here. So now you understand how this works. So maybe it totally depends upon the business requirement. How do they want the service call to be defaulted status? If you want all the service call that is either being created manually or coming from any other system, you want that to be in the ready to plan status. You have a configuration place where you go and you can default it to ready to plan, and all the ticket is going to be available here for the dispatcher to allocate it to the technician. All right.
Got it. Got it.
But
Understood.
if you do not want that, okay, you do not want to bombard all the tickets to the dispatcher, okay, so there is maybe a separate team who is going to evaluate the ticket before it is actually making it available to the dispatching board. Then you will change the or you will default the status to new. So that way, either it is being created manually or coming it from any other system, it will come and sit here, and
Okay.
maybe there is a team who is reviewing those tickets, and if they feel it is really for the technician, then they'll change the status, and this is going to be available here to the technician, sorry, to the dispatcher. All right.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Now here you see the list of technicians available. Okay, so any
Uh,
technicians who is available, yeah.
Samir, the way like making into default status, like is it business rules or like configuration? Is it
It's
both
a
are different?
configuration.
Okay.
It's a configuration.
Mm.
Okay. There's something called setting and configuration. Here you go in the general settings, and here you see.
Okay.
Okay.
Default status. Got it.
So we'll go through all these, whatever drop down you're seeing it here, we'll go through all of them, and that way we will not miss anything. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So now let's focus on the dispatching board. So dispatching board is the area where all the technicians who are working on the on for the client, okay, they may be permanent resource, they may be outsourced resource, they may be coming from crowd workforce management, from wherever they are coming. They all will be shown here if they are active in the system, meaning they are available to take up the calls. Okay. Now you see there are some gray area or light pink areas. Okay. What are these areas? And you see there is a blue line over here, that vertical line. This vertical line tells you the current time. Okay. So right now in India it is 9:35. So that's why you are seeing this blue line over here. And the other gray area or the highlighted area, whatever you are seeing here, this is basically coming from the uh, default setting, basically, kind of factory calendar in SAP language, I would say, that this will tell you the working hours of the technicians. Okay, so this technician one is going to work from 8 to 12, and 12 to 1 is not going to be available. Maybe this is going to be his lunch time or whatever, and then again he'll be available from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Then the other technician, he is going to available from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. straight. Okay, so there is a configuration again to default the working hours of the technician. Okay, and we create the working hours, we assign the technicians, and based on the settings, you will see the availability of the resources in the dispatching board. There is another setting available here. If you go to the setting button here, it will tell you like what is the normal starting time and ending time of the technician. Okay, so maybe you are providing services only from 8 to 6, then you will maintain that 8 to 6 over here, and then Monday to Friday. Then by default, if it is Saturday and Sunday, it will be shown as highlighted, meaning it will not allow it. It is actually, it's not like it will not be allowed, but at least dispatcher would know that the technician is not going to be available during this time. Okay, for example, today is Thursday, right? Let's go to Saturday. Okay, even if you go to this is showing us, now you see I have made the calendar as weekly. Okay, so even I make it weekly. You see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They're not showing as Saturday and Sundays, right? How? Because we have marked this as Monday to Friday. Let's mark this on Saturday and Sunday both, and let's change the color to something else, maybe a little bluish, something like that, and save. Now you see the calendar is changed. Okay, now you also see Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, though you so what is this setting? This setting is basically the calendar setting. Okay, so the calendar setting you are seeing here. Now if you change the date to maybe 14th of December, okay, and make it as 1 day. Now you see that this guy is not available from morning to evening on Sunday, right? Because 14th of December is Sunday, but these guys are available. Okay, so how this is working, basically it's very simple. Okay, whatever time slots you are assigning it here, it will take into consideration. On top of that, there is another area where we do the configuration and we allow the technician, or we associate the technician. We call it work time pattern. Okay, we call it,
Work time pattern. Okay, got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
work time pattern. So there's a configuration for work time pattern. We create the work time pattern, okay, with an working hours, maybe, why do we require that? So if your technician all are working in general shift, then you don't need that, right? Because then you will manage it from here only, because
Okay.
your rules are going to be same for all the technician. But work time pattern is required when your some of your technicians are working on weekends as well. Maybe you have, say, 16-hour shifts where there are two shifts. Some technician are working in morning shift, some technician are working in evening shift. So in those sort of scenarios, work time pattern is important. So you create a work time pattern for morning shift from 8 to 4, and then you create another shift maybe 4 to night 11 12, and then you allocate different technician to different work time pattern, and based on the pattern, wherever the technician is assigned to, you will see those availability of the resources over here. Okay, don't worry. I mean, we will go to those configurations explicitly and we will work on that and we'll see how that shows up on the calendar. Okay, so I'm just giving you a high level idea like what all configurations we can do. And anyway, we are going to learn all these configurations and we'll see how this shows on the calendar over here. All right.
Got it. Understood.
Now here on the left hand side, you see there is something called views. Okay. So I have actually filtered it. So let me remove the filters and all. Now there is no filter at all. Now you see there are 41 entries, meaning there's a list of 41 technicians over here. Okay. So all those 41 technicians are actually available to take up the call. Okay, but their working hour is 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock, meaning I need to allocate the service ticket to the technician based on the availability of the resources.
Okay.
Okay, so
Uh,
suppose now, yeah,
Samir, sorry to interrupt you. Samir, I have read somewhere like more than 40 technicians we cannot accommodate in the planning board. Here it is 41 coming. Is it uh, like possible more than 40? Somewhere I
it
read that.
is possible, okay, but SAP recommend not to use more than 40. Okay,
Okay.
otherwise it will impact the performance of the system,
Okay. Yeah.
but it
Continue.
allows.
Okay. Thank you.
Right? Now, what happens is there are multiple ways through which we can assign the service ticket to the technicians. Okay, four ways basically through which we can assign the service call to the technicians. Okay, what are these ways? First is manual, second is semi automated, third is fully automated, fourth is bulk assignment. Okay, these are the four way through which we assign the service call to the technician. Okay, manually very simple. We select this, drag this, and drop it over here. Ticket is assigned. Okay, now it's not actually the ticket, but it is the activity that was created that is assigned to the technician. Okay, where is it? You see, remember we have seen the activity that was created. When we created a service call, system had automatically created one activity. Let's go back and double check. We go back to the service call. This is the service call we had created, and system had automatically created the 78 ID. Okay, so technically what I'm trying to tell you is, although we have assigned the service call to the technician, but actually we are assigning the service activity to the technician. Okay, now you may have question, why not we directly assign a service call to the technician, rather system is creating an activity and that activity is being assigned to the technician. Why there is an additional layer of active work, right?
Maybe like service call can have multiple service items. Maybe skill
Exactly.
for different people will be there for the different
Exactly. So for those reasons, okay, there may be one service call is being assigned to multiple technicians. Okay, we also have a provision to do that. For example, if I want to move this service call from this person to this person, that I can do. Okay, so now from its align for fabric, it's assigned to other align. Okay, but the activity ID remains the same. Now, second is what I'll do is I'll click on this and then I can duplicate it to some other align. This one. So now what happened is same ticket has been assigned to two different people. And now you see the activity ID is 79. So to track the separate activities performed by the different technicians, system has the provision that it will actually create an activity and that activity is going to be assigned to the technician.
No, can you repeat? I didn't get you.
Okay. Why do we need an activity in the scenario and why the system is not allocating the service call directly to the technician? Basically because there could be a scenario where the tickets are going to be assigned to multiple people. Okay, and now since for example you saw that this is the same ticket service call 45, this is also the same ticket 45, but the activity is 78 and 79 respectively. 78 is assigned to Leblanc and 79 is assigned to Nguyen. I cannot pronounce its name. Okay, so now two people are gonna work on same ticket. Okay, but these two people when they will work, they may take different time, they may take different effort, they may reach to the customers at different time,
Okay.
they may add different spare parts. Okay, so to track the activity or the work that has been performed by the technician, we need an activity ID. Okay, and then when we'll send this data back to S4, if we have an integrated scenario, then the data will be clubbed together and it will be sent back to the service order, and all the information will go and sit in the transaction history over there. Okay, but to track the task and the work separately, system actually creates an activity ID against each of the assignment. Okay.
Got it. Understood.
Okay, now this is one way of assigning a ticket to the technician, which is manual. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll simply click on it and you see unassign and release assignment button is there. Okay, so when I unassign, it will be unassigned. Okay,
Mm.
but it is still assigned to one other person. I'll still unassign, and now you'll see that those two tickets over here. Okay, tickets with different IDs. Okay, 78 and 79. When you go back over here, if you go to 49, go to the activities. Now you're seeing there are two activities. Okay, since I had assigned this task to two people. Okay, now I'll go back to the dispatching board and I'll again try to assign it to the technician in bulk. Now you see there is a drop down over here, which is schedule now button. Okay. So what I'll do is whatever number of tickets I have, I'll select all of them. I'll drag it and drop it over here. Okay. And then I click on schedule now button. The moment I click a schedule now button, there is an AI works in the backend. Okay. And system will try to identify the best matching technician for these two tickets.
How
This is
like so during service call creation and activity we didn't have any kind of skill, but how it will exactly match the particular work to the particular.
okay. So maybe right now it will not work. I'll click on schedule now. It will not find any technician.
Okay.
Okay. Both of them is coming as error. Okay. When you go click on show detail, it will give you the error. That system is not able to assign the incident ticket. Okay. Why? Because the rule that have I have created in the configuration, that rule did not find the right technician. So there is a placeholder, a configuration in the backend, okay, that we do. There we give the parameters to the rules. Okay. Consider this parameter, and then identify the best matching technician and give me the list. Okay. And system will give you the list. If system could not find any, system will throw you an error. Now, what are those parameters? How the system is going to identify that we will learn later.
Okay.
Okay, for now, this is the second way of assigning the ticket to the technician. First was manual, where we
And
directly dragged and dropped to
drag
the
and drop.
technician. Second was this bulk, where we are selecting all the tickets in bulk, dragging and dropping here, and I'm asking the system to find the best matching technician. Okay.
Here one just out only. With curiosity, I'm asking. So that AI will work, right? How exactly it will like on what which parameter, based on which parameter this service activity will be assigned to the technician. So
Mhm,
best match technician, like
mhm.
so in the activity we are not mentioning any skill, the skill required for this operation or like this activity. We are not mentioning, right? So how it will
Mhm.
exactly it will
Ideally,
be
we should be.
okay.
Okay. And the other, to answer to your question, maybe we are not considering the skill parameter for the assignment of the ticket.
Okay.
Then in that case, skill would not require.
Required. It will directly where who are available. They have,
Yes, it totally depends upon what you are putting in the parameter. Don't think about the skill is the only parameter. There are hundreds of other parameters which your organization will tell you that I want to use this parameter because all my technicians are equally equipped, equally trained, equally skilled. Then
skill.
in that scenario, you won't need skill as a parameter,
Correct.
right?
Agreed.
Okay. So two parameters we have learned. Now third parameter is called semi-automated parameter. Semi-automated way to assign the ticket. What is the semi-automated or semi-automated? You click on the service ticket. Sorry, not like that. You have to right click, close. Here you come, you right click, and here you get find matching technicians. This is called semi-automated way of identifying the technician. Okay. When you click on this, system will again go to the backend, search for the parameters, and it will give you the list of all the technician which system thinks that is more closer to the parameters that you have given. Okay. And what all are the parameters? Here you see there are 5 parameters over here. By default, system gives you 4 parameters. I think someone even, I don't know if I had created this additional parameter. So distance and skill, earliest and skills. These are the 4 um, standard parameters that has been created in the system. Okay, and this is skill custom, someone, I don't know if I had created it. So if you click on distance, so what system will do, based on the distance, system will give you the best matching technician is Ben. Okay, and then if you do not want to assign it for XYZ any reason, then best alternative is this guy. Second best alternative is this guy. Third best alternative is this guy, and fourth, and likewise. Okay, so this is how system is giving you best matching technician, and you just simply click on this assign button, it will be assigned. Simple. So this is the third way of assigning the service call to the technician. Now the last and the fourth way is fully automated. In the fully automated scenario, you as a dispatcher don't do anything. You just sit back, relax, and watch what is system doing. And the moment any service call that is coming to the dispatching board, and what also with the dispatching board, which has a status as ready to plan, right? So the moment ticket will come here, it will be automatically assigned to the best matching technician. And by any chance, if system is not able to assign it to the best matching technician, it will assign it to next best alternative. So being a dispatcher, you don't do anything over here. You just sit back and relax. And if by any chance system is not able to identify any technician to assign that ticket to, then it will be sitting here and you will be manually or semi-automated, bulk automated, whatever you want, other three options you have, you will be assigning them to the technician. Any questions so far?
Yeah, yeah. So far, like I'm clear, understood. So after that, the release activity release also will be happened automated or like manually we need to do.
By default, no, but you can use a business rule
Mm-hmm.
to write a code that every time the ticket is assigned to a technician, it
Mm-hmm.
should change the status to released.
Okay. That release means S4. It is like release means dispatch.
Released means until and unless you don't click on release button, it is not going to come to your dispatcher, your technician. Even though, so suppose you have this dispatcher, okay, this technician. Now, if I assign this ticket to this guy,
Mm-hmm.
okay, he will not know that a ticket is assigned to him.
Okay.
He would only know when you click on release assignments.
Okay. So this release assignment also is possible with business roles. What you're
Yes, if
saying.
you want to automate this is possible through business rules. You can write a business rule in order to automatically release the assignment.
Got it.
Okay, so now if you have this fully automated scenario and even you have written a business rule, then being a dispatcher, you do nothing. You sit back, relax, and see. You'll be seeing. You'll not see any of the ticket here in this area. Okay, you'll only see the tickets in this area, which is already been assigned based on the AI based parameter scheduling, and it will be automatically released and it's keep on going to the technicians. Okay,
Uh,
you know, I have implemented 4 FSM projects so far. Okay, and when we demoed to the customer, every
mhm.
customer said that we want fully automated scenario.
Then
Okay,
why in that case they don't need FSM directly.
right.
If you
No,
take
no, no. See, they do not want to involve an additional person over here. Okay. They want the ticket to be assigned, released at the S4 HANA or C4C. It will come here. It will be automatically scheduled to a technician. It will be automatically released and it is going to the technician. Technician is working on it and they are finishing the work and everything go back to FSM. Sorry, go back to FSM and then finally to S4 HANA. But they
Okay.
do not want any human intervention in the FSM screen. or FSM application. They do not want any additional people to deploy it,
Mm,
because this is what as FSM says, right?
yeah.
That you have a
But
fully automated scenario anyway. Eventually, your dispatcher is not doing anything, right? But I haven't seen any project successfully working with fully automated scenario. Ultimately, everybody went through semi-automated process.
so
Why?
reason.
We'll see this. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna see how the fully automated work, and how we write the code, everything. We'll see
Yeah.
that. Okay, and then it's a business call, right?
Yeah.
So we as a consultant, we tell them the pros and cons, right?
Mm, mm,
And in one project, I remember we had implemented fully automated, and we given them, and they went live.
mhm.
Okay, and then after 15 days, they said, okay, please change it back to semi-automated.
Okay.
So there are some challenges, definitely. Okay, so we'll learn this. Okay, when
Mhm,
we'll get into the details of everything, then we'll learn,
mm,
like, and then that is, when I pitch to my customer, I tell them the pros and cons, and I recommend them to use the semi-automated way. Better to deploy one guy in the FSM as a dispatcher who's going to sit here, because there is a lot of work that he has to do. Okay, even if you have fully automated scenario, there is one section called time and material journal. Here also, they'll have to come and approve their efforts, the expenses that the technician has incurred, and you'll have to approve it, and then only it will go back to S4HANA. So these all are the things that the dispatcher has to do. Okay. But again, it's a business call.
mm.
Anyway, so there are a lot of other things available in the dispatching board. Okay, so maybe we'll see it tomorrow.
Sure. Sure.
All right,
Yeah.
and then we'll see, gradually see what all other options are there. So right now, what we are learning is we are learning how the system works from the end user perspective. Okay,
Okay.
and then once we run through one end-to-end scenario, then we'll come back to the configuration area here, and we'll see what all these sections are, and how do we configure the system and all that stuff. Okay,
Okay.
all right then. Let's keep up to here today, and
Okay.
we
Okay,
will meet
Samir.
tomorrow then.
Yeah. Thank you, Samir.
Yeah. Okay.
Really awesome session. Thanks for time.
All right then. Yeah, let's meet tomorrow. Bye bye.